Hello, everybody. In the words of J.J. Abrams, who talks first? I talk first? You talk first? Who talks first?
Yeah. I don't know. Let's roll the intro.
Deep in an underground secret Pacific Island lair, Pop Culture Minefield presents Saturday Morning Funtime. This is the comic relief crusader telling you to get your morning cereal ready, because here we go.
And here we are. Yeah, look at us. It's Saturday. I hope everybody had a good week. And we're going to talk about some movies today. We're talking about one of my favorite films of all time, Marathon Man, starring Dustin Hoffman, Laurence Olivier, William Devane, and Roy Scheider.
A very young Dustin Hoffman. I've never seen him this young.
Well, you'll see him younger in The Graduate. It's really his first movie.
Yeah, I know you said yesterday. I didn't realize that.
Buck Henry penned that movie, and it's a really good flick. It's funny. It's one of my dad's favorites too. And it's funny, I find myself like watching and counting films, and I'm like, wow, not only is that one of my favorite films, it was one of my dad's favorites. So, but anyway, Marathon Man is like one of those films that just sort of like came out of nowhere for me. I'd never really paid attention to conspiracy films that dealt with espionage. But when I look back on it, it's like, all these movies always focus on jewels, and it's like, and I was explaining in talking with Anima about it, that jewelry in particular has no real value in the world. The organization that gives it any value is De Beers. They determine the value of jewelry. It doesn't like there's no intrinsic value for jewelry. So all these jewel heist movies, I look back on them, I find them funny, because what you really want is like precious metals. Those are the ones that have value. And but they always make movies about jewel heists.
Especially diamonds. It's so silly. Diamonds only are valuable because the industry makes people believe they are.
Yeah, it's not an actual value.
It's not even special.
It's not a tangible value.
Haven't they also done things like paved over miles and miles of beach that has diamonds just laying on the surface so no one else can get to it? And they've got their diamonds sealed in and they're coming back later.
De Beers is absolutely about managing control. And I've often believed that there are ethical ways of getting blood diamonds, but De Beers doesn't want that because it would flood the market. And it would hurt them. They would be hurt by it. So, and if you don't know what blood diamonds are, Google it. I'm not going to fucking explain that to everybody. Yeah, they're from South Africa. And it looks like we got a good crowd. It's already popping in. We got Penny here. Jonathan Hancock is here. Christian Delorme, our good friend, is here. Slasher Fred, the lovely Sherry. Yes, you got to say it like that. It's got to sound like something from Batman 66. We need that, the music, like when Catwoman or one of the female.
Yo, Sherry, what's up? She's from Queens. Sherry's from Queens.
Yes, we know.
Yeah, well, I have. Whenever
you're telling us like this is something we weren't aware of, Teague. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean,
I've been friends with Sherry for a long time. She's wonderful.
She is.
The alien messages notes DECCG. Oh, that's Close Encounters.
That's definitely true. Yeah, I was wrong. I put the wrong title on. I thought we were watching Close Encounters. That's why I was talking about Flight 19 before, and then I looked like the thumbnail on my page is correct now.
Don't smoke crack before you do a show, Teague.
It was synth-crack. The effects are much like regular crack, but they're easily dismissed. I got it from the replicator. Yeah,
I got it from the replicator. Yeah, you're only high for a few minutes, and then you're normal.
If I need to be normal, I could be normal right now. It's like it's like its effects are easily dismissed, like synthahol. It's
I know.
a lot
We're
like
going
real
to bring it up.
alcohol.
Synthahol, you're only like drunk for a few minutes and then you're sober again. I'm like, what's the point?
I thought it was more like
Yes.
Ambien. You have to give in to the synthahol, and if you don't want to be
Wait,
drunk,
Anima,
simple
wait.
willpower will make it go away. That seemed to
John
be what Kirk
Chipola
said.
is here, and as well as our
Hey!
dear friend
Hey,
Zax is here.
Onion.
Slasher Fred has shown up for a non-horror movie, although there are a few scenes in this movie that are pretty horrifying.
Man, the torture
Um,
scenes,
Yeah.
I could not watch them. I
Wait.
was looking away and had my
Wait,
hands
wait,
on my
give me a
shoulders.
second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me a second.
You have all the time.
Fuck you, Kyle.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
So,
You're
basically, this is a great film. Marathon Man just came out when I was, how old was I? I was 14. I think I was 14 when this came out. And it hit me. It took me for a loop. And I couldn't believe that you could make a movie this good. And there's a little bit of a Hitchcock feel to it at times. But there's this weird, because of the music too, there's almost this feel of something from an Italian movie to it, especially when they end up out at the house near the end, going into the third act. Just, my God, the acting in this is just mind-bogglingly good. And I love that there was a little bit of tension between Olivier and Dustin Hoffman, because Hoffman came up through the method, and while Olivier just would like, why don't you just act my way? Read the lines with emotion. And I'll tell you the story later, because it is funny, because there was this little, I think there was respect and love, but at the same time, there was a little bit of frustration between the two because they did have different acting methods.
I saw Peter Ustinov just go off and destroy Laurence Olivier for like 5 minutes on Letterman unasked. He was like, he was gunning for him. It's like,
oh, really?
Yeah, he said he was a total ham. He said that in Spartacus, his delivery was so overly he paused for so long between lines that he was Ustinov or Pleasance got so fed up with him that they started doing it too. So it's like, he was like, he goes, it was infuriating. The line was, Spartacus, you found him. And I respond, yes. So he's like, Spartacus, you've found him? So I waited about 2 minutes and said, yes. He really hated him. You're muted.
I'm a big fan of Peter Ustinov. And to hear that, we were just talking about the new Disney figures came out, because they're in trouble. They've lost so much money with Lucasfilm, and no toys are selling. So Disney has turned around and released the Robin Hood, animated Robin Hood figures, and these have some great points of articulation. And I love it. They got you can change out the hands, so you can actually make Prince John suck his thumb. I love it, and of course that was voiced by Peter Ustinov. And big fan of that movie. In fact, it is my second favorite telling of the Robin Hood tale. Well, third, because the first one, of course, always goes back to Errol Flynn. Second one is the one with Sean Connery and Audrey Hepburn.
That
And
movie
the
is
third
so
one is
underrated.
Disney. Which one?
Robin and Marion with Sean Connery is so terribly underrated. It's like, to every actor, there is a movie that goes under the radar. For John Wayne, it's The Shootist. It's actually much, much better than a lot of his other movies. And this movie is great too.
Well, I got to tell you, what's wonderful about that film is it actually gives you the final chapter from the book, which is, Robin Hood's death and the firing of the arrow, and where this arrow lands, bury me there. He
Read the tale of Robin Hood. He dies an old man though, right? He prevails and lives, right? Lives out of to an old man.
He has a good life, and he dies at the end of the book. And as he's dying, he asks for his bow and arrow, quiver and his bow, and then he pulls an arrow out and fires it out the window. He says, wherever that arrow lands, bury me there. John is there with him.
Badass. That's badass.
Little John is there. Marion is there, and they mourn his death. And Connery is absolutely brilliant. But I'll tell you who's brilliant in that movie is Robert Shaw as the sheriff.
Yes.
Robert Shaw
memorable bad guy too.
absolutely steals the show with his villainy.
And who
I
was it,
love that
Marion?
movie.
Was it Audrey Hepburn?
Audrey Hepburn.
Right. Yeah, that movie was Marion just took off and hung out and became a nun. And
And that's
Robin Hood
kind
kind
of
of had to process that.
that movie was kind of the end of her career for a while. She just sort of left film, and she
She
didn't come
wasn't
back
well
until
enough.
that Richard Dreyfuss movie where she's an angel that visits him. That was like she took a huge break in film.
Audrey Hepburn is like, didn't she have health problems and she smoked a lot of cigarettes?
She
Oh,
smokes
yeah.
in every
Older.
single movie. It's so sad. It's what killed her.
Yeah, smoking is what killed her.
Yeah, that's why I'm like 15 months nicotine free and like 8 years beyond my last cigarette, and I stopped vaping last year.
Awesome.
Yeah, my
2 years
dad
ago
smoked
now.
for 40 years. I got
was
him
getting
to
close.
quit. I got him to quit. He started smoking with 9.
Yeah, me
He's,
too.
back behind the garage that my family owned in
Yep.
Illinois. He'd be back with the tough guys smoking at 9. He says, I smoked filterless Camels since I was a kid. And I just thought for sure I was going to lose my dad to cancer. And he fought and beat cancer twice. And it was throat cancer. But he quit smoking because I tricked
I
him.
love how you made him quit.
Because I'm asthmatic. And I knew how to fake an asthma attack. And whenever he smoked, I would fake an asthma attack. And I could actually irritate the inner lining of my lungs to where I would start wheezing for real. And I'd have to use because
How did you
I
do
didn't have the medical stuff we have today. All we had when I was a kid was Primatene Mist, which is just pure albuterol. And that's the same thing you inject into somebody's heart when they die. And you see that big needle? That's albuterol.
I regret that I saw that done in real life.
As much as I enjoyed that movie, I had so many problems with that film. I disliked the way, and I love Alan Rickman, but I did not like his performance in that film. I didn't like the sheriff in that film at all. I hated the mystical woman witch character. I hated that.
Oh, yeah, he was in the wrong movie. He was doing great, and it was a great character, but it wasn't the sheriff in any way that we could recognize. Yeah, it was cooler than the sheriff, to be honest. It's the best sheriff ever.
And there, I love the sword fighting. There was some good action in that film. And don't get me wrong, Robin Hood's speech in that film, great speech, but delivered in such a weird way without an English accent. Just I had so many problems with that movie, which is what led to the joke with Mel Brooks' movie Men in Tights, where he says, unlike some Robin Hood, I have a proper English accent.
That's right. It's amazing that you could go that far as an actor and not be able to do like a British accent. You know what I mean? Like Connery has never done anything but Scottish.
He apparently tried, and it just sounded terrible. And
I've made a
if you
decision
can't
about
do
your
it,
film.
you shouldn't play the role. And it was great. Connery appeared in the film at the end. He was King
Wait, it's
Richard.
Patrick Stewart. Oh, you're talking about not the spoof. Patrick Stewart is in the spoof, and
right.
Sean Connery shows up at the end of the
as
original.
King Richard.
Can I tell you a funny story? Finish up first. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I saw Man of La Mancha on Broadway, the Don Quixote play.
Who was in it?
Aldonza was Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, and
Oh,
Brian
she's
Stokes
great.
Mitchell was, and the guy who's the voice of the aardvark in that Disney movie, Lion King, was Sancho. It was really good, and Brian Stokes Mitchell was Quixote and Cervantes. But when she walked out there and she could sing great, all that went through my head is like some of her lines from Scarface. I'm like, oh my god, it's Gina from Scarface.
Gina from Scarface.
Even my dad was like snickering. He's like, it's Gina from Scarface. And then she blew us away with her voice.
He's a great actor. I like her. She's one of the reasons why The Abyss is so good.
Yeah.
Because you could so easily hate her character if it was performed by the wrong actor. Yeah, because she just, so often you get somebody who plays a character like that that's been heartbroken by their spouse, and instead, you know, she showed the love, and I really liked it. I love the Abyss too. Although, man,
She's
what a
great in a
nightmare
few
making that
movies.
film was.
Oh, I can imagine. You know,
So let's see who all is here right now.
she's so complete though to do Broadway and be in so many hit movies. This, you know, wow, professionalism. Tip my hat.
Uh, I don't know what's going on with Gina. I know she's done some TV recently. This happens
She's
so
still
often with
doing
women when they
Broadway.
hit their once women hit their 40s to 50s.
Yeah.
So often their acting careers become more limited. But I wanted to say hi to other people. We got Ray Lucard is here. John Chipola, Canadian Spider-Man is here. What is up, man? Mikey Susie 4, Buddy Hepburn, and E. Clay Thomason is here. Good afternoon, guys. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. So
Hello,
we're going to be
Admiral
starting.
Tegians. It's good to see you.
We're going to be starting the film strip here in a moment. The slideshow. Cycleman 90. Greetings. One of my favorite thrillers ever. Absolutely, it's right up there.
Hey, buddy.
In fact, from the 70s, my two favorite thrillers, and Anima's going to watch the other one with me this weekend, is 3 Days of the Condor, which is based on the book 6 Days of the Condor. And I very much like that movie.
So you like New
dislike
York as a backdrop
recent.
for a crime movie?
Actually, there's a shot in this movie, and I pointed it out, and I'm going to watch it again. I am positive that it's the exact same block that was shown in 3 Days of the Condor.
I've lived here
Because
long
the
enough.
chock full of nuts in the background, I swear to God,
know
it's
what
the
that
same
is.
block. I swear it's the
That's
same
near the
block.
59th Street Bridge, I think. And that would make sense because the film industry in New York is down by Long Island City, where that area is.
You're usually right when you spot
You
things
know
like
what?
that. You have an eye for that.
I know for sure that where Highlander was filmed because the Silver Cup Studio sign faces one of the most prominent and important subway stops in all of Queens. So everybody here knows that one. Every day I go to work, I look at that sign and I'm like, there could be only one.
This show is brought to you by McDonald's. I'm having fish and chips. Poor Dustin Hoffman in this thriller. Absolutely. And also poor Roy Scheider. He's trying to be a good brother. I mean, Anna was like, how did he make it there? And I'm like, love made him make it back to that apartment.
It wasn't so much how did he make it all this way with a stab wound in his guts. It was like, how did nobody see that and stop him and call
And
an ambulance?
what
or
was my
whatever?
answer?
Yeah, it's
New York City.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's true. I mean, I've been there.
I said it's New York City, man.
I haven't seen much more than Manhattan, and it was pretty civilized back then. But
Manhattan is great. We're the safest major city in America.
That's where my cousin lives, Angie. She lives in Manhattan. Let's see. Chock full of nuts was also an Escape from New York. That's right, but it's not the one in New York's. They actually designed that to look like the one in New York because it was actually in St. Louis. All of the New York scenes were shot in when he's in the street is shot in St. Louis. There was a burned out section of the city, and they used it for the movie. You can't find most of it now. A lot of those buildings were torn down, and new ones built up.
Yeah, we had a good post-apocalypse landscape in several areas very close to Manhattan for a very long time, including some within Manhattan.
Right. I'm trying to look at some of these comments. In the original Batman series, there was a villain called the Archer, played by Art Carney, who was a Robin Hood-like character who was played by Art Carney. And he was also not from the comic. He was one of the villains not from the comic.
We did that a few times on TV. I think Egghead is also a TV-only villain.
Yep, Egghead.
How do you not
my
love
favorite
Egghead?
villain, other than clearly the Riddler and Joker and Penguin, the top three, I really love Bookworm, and I love King Tut.
I'm going to say King Tut and Shame. Shame with Cliff Robertson. Was
my God,
hilarious.
Cliff Robertson is Shame. That's right.
Shame. And he just acts shamefully the whole time. It's great. They just never stop riffing on that one joke. He's shameful.
Just kept doing it. And when you're a kid, you don't recognize it's comedy. Because like we were just talking, Martin and I were just talking about it the other day, and I showed Anima a clip from the clam scene, the giant clam. That was horrifying for kids.
Yes,
Kids
I was
realize at some
terrified.
point that kids will watch this, and then at some point, someone was like, "What about like if their babysitter is perhaps on drugs? Should we consider that when writing this?" Like, yeah, giant clam.
Mm.
It's just some of that movie is just it's made by people who are a little wasted for people who are a little wasted. Whatever. That script is one toke over the line. There's some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Speaking of crossing the line,
I love the shots throughout the movie of this guy because I remember those images as a kid from the Olympics.
By the way, Anima, from now on, you are going to be referred as Elsa
Why?
because you have a very similar accent.
Do I?
Sometimes,
No,
I
Yeah.
don't think so. I don't think so because her accent is something between German and French, and that's definitely not how I speak.
yeah, but when she loses her cool during the dinner, there's a moment when her accent went full German.
Kinda, yeah, but she is fluent in French.
Yep.
So her accent is very influenced by
that's
that.
the one thing that threw me in the movie, that she's speaking fluent French with a French accent.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
I don't know for sure, but it sounds to me like she grew up bilingual. Because
Maybe
she's switching that
Alsatian.
easily. She's switching that easily between languages.
Mm.
And I mean, I can do it between 3 of my 4 languages, but
Well,
I do have
but-
an accent in the 2 that
But
are
I
not my mother's.
but I do
And
like
she
that
doesn't.
that they put that when her
That's
her
Carl
cover is
Amen
blown
Leeds. That's
and gets
Metropolitan
nervous
Avenue.
Let Martin finish, Teague.
Sorry.
when no,
Recognize
don't
that.
worry, man. When she gets nervous, she lost control of her accent. I like that.
Yeah.
This is Astoria.
I love this scene with this old Jewish man versus this old German.
Oh, and
And
I
it's
have to
this
say,
moment triggers everything that happens in this movie.
they don't
Yes.
put subtitles for when they use different languages, and all the German and all the French I was able to understand. So it's kind of, Gerry was like, this little incident started all this thing, and I understanding what they are actually shouting at each other. I'm like, dude, that is not a little thing. Those are heavy insults between a Jew and a German, whom he calls a Nazi.
Really?
So this is heavy shit going on between those two.
So if this was in English, they might have to change the rating. It's that bad.
Probably.
Hmm.
I mean,
all right.
they use words that you would recognize, but
One thing I liked about this was that nobody who he had bullied up on during the war backed down from him, though. Everyone starts screaming at him and like pointing him out on the streets. They despise him so much they don't care. They want justice.
yeah, well, these two, they hate each other. That's pure hatred what they have going on. And
Yeah,
it's-
but the Jewish guy, he was whack off even before knowing the other one was a German.
Yeah. What was so horrifying to me though was like one of them was passed out when they caught on fire, but the other one was awake. He was conscious. He was coughing, and then later you find out they both died. So I'm like, that's horrible. Burning in your car while being awake. At least the other one was
Oh.
knocked out. I
Oh
was like,
God, yeah.
nasty death. Because the people are just standing there. Nobody even tries to get them out.
I love these cars, especially the one. I mean, one's I guess a Mercedes or a Bentley, but
Yep.
the one on the right, what is that? An
The one on the
Oldsmobile
left
Cutlass?
is a Mercedes.
I don't
the
think
one
so,
on the right.
Mikey. I don't think so.
No, that was not important. It wasn't about fixing teeth. It was about torture.
Yes, I love those cars. In fact, my dad used to have a Mercedes of that model.
Honestly,
I mean,
the
it's
old
with a
cars.
Mercedes.
What?
My dad actually collects old timers. I don't even know how many cars he has at this point. He's crazy for cars like that.
Settlement. Yes, road rage at its finest.
Yes. In cars.
I love
from
the scene of
80s.
him running, and he gets into a race with this guy because the guy
Oh, that is
runs by
so
him,
real.
runs past him, and says, "Behind schedule, huh?"
This is so real. I used to jog in parks in Vienna where you run circles like all the way around the park again and again and again, and you just encounter people who go the other direction. Like you run clockwise, they run counterclockwise. So you meet at certain points, and you can always tell who is faster. And the competition is real, and I've always hated that part about jogging. It's just like
I've
let me
only
train
seen-
on my own, but people would shit talk you into racing.
It was only during the worst parts of 2020 and all that was going on that I ever saw anyone crazy enough to jog in New York City. Like the gym membership sells itself. The streets are so crazy.
You don't jog on the
And
streets. Go Central Park.
If you go to Central Park, right about 1 mile after the start of the jogging trail, someone will jump out and beat your ass and take your wallet because you're going to be winded and tired, and they know it, and they want drugs.
Okay. Who takes their wallet for jogging?
Who
Well,
jogs in public in
you
New York
need
City?
to go out with your ID.
True. Got a point. T.
I'll hire someone to do that for me.
Snob.
Uh-oh. What happened to Martin?
We lost Martin.
I don't
He
know.
has third
Martin
world
quit.
country internet.
I think I'm going to order a guided Italian missile while we do this and get a pizza myself to get the New Yorkness going.
What's New Yorkness for you? I'm so rich. I hire people for everything because I don't want to do anything but sit around.
It's so cold out right now that I considered getting an Uber Lyft and just giving the guy my debit card so he could bring back cash and then just pay him off my credit card so I wouldn't have to leave the house. It's like 17 degrees.
Yikes. That's cold.
Yeah.
There's Martin.
Here we go. Welcome
What
back.
happened?
I'm on
internet.
Mexican internet.
Yep.
Okay, let me try to get us. No, I overshot it. I think we were more or less at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's where we were.
Yeah, this is a time before gyms. People did jog in public in New York, but like I don't think these two people would be in a big competition. They'd be like, "Hey, how about we pace ourselves together in case someone comes out of the trees?" Because that's New York, and this is the 70s. So crime's out of control at this point.
And by the way, there's a Ambien did a Claude David Venero Ambien did a really nice post about a little movie called Evolution over on Midnight's Edge. And I don't know if you remember that film. It was kind of like a reboot of Ghostbusters, but more sci-fi. And it starred David
Is it
Duchovny,
Mulder?
Orlando.
Yeah, I hate that
Mulder
movie.
and
You can
Julian
hate it all you
Moore.
want to. I love that film. I cracked
Some
up
of it I
laughing.
like. It's
What I
more than
liked
three
about the
stuff
film,
I
but
like.
is that it tried to bring back that Ghostbuster spirit. It failed. It failed. But the director did his best, and the cast did a good job in it. Sean William Scott's in it too, and I like that guy. And but what's interesting is Orlando Jones has a line in there that he says "Great googly moogly," and it annoyed me because I grew up in the South, and it's an old saying. It's called "good googa mooga," not "great googly moogly." Never heard of that. I heard a lot of people say "good googa mooga,"
I've
and
never heard that.
that always bugged me. One of my favorite teachers used to say it all the time too. Oh, this is great. He gets all nervous. This is foreshadowing a moment later. Him in that damn bathtub. So now we meet his brother, Roy Scheider, who's up to some kind of business in Paris. And it's like, what are we going to do here? What is this guy doing? And this is where we understand that there's some sort of deal that's supposed to be going on. And on top of that, at some point, it's kind of clear he's supposed to be dead. And you don't know who it is that's actually trying to kill him.
Well, at first you don't know who he is. That they are brothers.
Yeah.
You don't figure that connection out
Yeah,
immediately. I mean, you
there's no
told me, I
connection
knew,
until he later says something.
yeah. At
Do
first
you
they're
even
like,
know
why are we
it's
in
connection?
Paris?
This
What's
was
happening?
one cool scene right here, because this is not an accident. He comes in and partially opens the door. And it's like, what is that all about? Clearly not an accident.
Penny is doing a Schwarzenegger here. Headed to grocery. I'll be back.
I'll
See you
be back.
later.
Hello, someone.
Oh, hi.
Awesome one. Yeah, what's up, buddy?
This is
Alabama
foreshadowing
Hellbilly.
too. The
I don't know if you heard. I was trying to say somebody's name. We have Alabama Hellbilly here.
That's a good name.
Joined.
It is a great
chat.
YouTube name. Hello, my friend. Hey, Penny.
Lemon pie is here. I like lemon pie with actual lemon zest, and I'm a big fan of the meringue.
I love lemon
Yeah, this
pie.
is the guy. This guy was expecting him to be dead, so he's taken aback when he sees him. And Roy Scheider confronts him about it. Why are you surprised to see me? I wasn't.
He's trying to talk his way out of it, failing.
Because I spent that money I was supposed to give you when I heard you were dead. Can you imagine what he must have pulled? Some crazy James Bond kind of thing with like bashing someone's head in with a fire extinguisher in a hotel hallway or something insane like that to get to the point of this much confusion where these guys are a step behind.
And we haven't even seen an attempt on him yet. We don't see it until after this scene.
Yeah.
Well, we're starting to figure out he's CIA. He's definitely not FBI, right? He's CIA or something even crazier.
No, they're
Department of
an
Defense.
in-between agency called
Okay.
the Division.
All right. So it's the circus.
I believe
so to
he's a
speak.
private contractor that does
That's
work
what I
for all
think
of
too.
and you meet
That would-
some of those guys.
That would make him a very dark figure indeed. But okay.
I've
told you about
Scheider
Mike-
can pull it off.
Because when I was in the military, I had a close encounter. with a
Guys, can
scoop.
you hear me?
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, when I was in the-
Oh, he has
I
problems.
think he was explaining to us that he was having problems with his internet. If I could read between the lines and hazard a guess. And by the way, yeah, Roy Scheider is having a great bunch of years in a row. In this movie, he's like really, I guess he's going back to the roles that made him. He's always kind of a hard-nosed detective, tougher than he looks, because I don't think Roy Scheider is very physically imposing. I don't know how tall he is. I don't think he's very tall, but he's not imposing. Not certainly not like a George Kyle or something like that. But he pulls off this American version of a sophisticated spy very well. Hello again.
Hey. What do you know?
What were you trying to say before you jumped out? Oh, got kicked.
That my browser was frozen.
Oh,
I was
All
right.
right. So I was trying to say something 3 times that spooks are strange creatures. And I had my own personal experience with one in the military when we were down in Central America on a temporary duty assignment to protect a road crew building a highway in Honduras. And we had this guy just come walking out with a little villager or whatever, local guy, come walking out of the jungle in fatigues, boonie cap. He came in, had some chow with us, played some cards with us, and then took his guide and went walking back out into the jungle. And I'm like, what was that about? And my sergeant goes, spook. And I'm like, what the fuck was a spook? Didn't even know. And someone had to explain to me what it was. Like, oh, spy. Okay.
What was he spying on you for?
operative. He wasn't spying on us. He was doing the job, and he saw us and thought he'd get some chow.
Oh. Okay.
And then went back to go do his job. They're still having trouble with communists down there at that time.
Yeah, that's why you were there.
Why we were there.
Yeah.
Shining Path, is that their commie group?
I thought it was really funny when my niece introduced me to her husband, and she says, because he's from Honduras, and and she's like, "Oh, my dad was in the military. He was down in, or my uncle was in the military. He was down in Honduras." And I'm sitting there going, she doesn't know that I noticed when I came in that on the back of his work truck was a Che Guevara sticker, and I'm like, "Oh, he's socialist, communist." So she does that. And here's the bomb going off. Yeah, the bassinet bomb misses him.
That doll in the trolley didn't look suspicious at all. That doll was creepy.
Not
as
at all.
Fuck. I was not surprised.
Guy pushing a baby doll in a carriage. That wasn't suspicious.
Yeah.
But anyway, so so there's that awkward moment at dinner when he's like, "Oh, really? What did you do down in Honduras?" I said, we're defending American road crews against Contras. It was a quiet dinner. Here's another actor here's a great bit actor. And one of my favorites for him was in Creepshow. The story of what's in the crate.
That's maybe the high point of that movie, if not.
Yeah, he was the friend that Hal Holbrook is playing chess with and talking to. But there's Dustin. He just had that youthful look at that time. He was already in his 30s in this part.
Even at this point now, he's still he's an octogenarian, has a boyishness to him.
Yep. It's part of it because he's short. So he looks almost diminutive, childlike.
He has a very
This is a really good scene. Because here's where we get some of the backstory of him and his older brother and how they survived the suicide of Hoffman's father, committing suicide after years of being alleged to have been communist or communist sympathizer.
You also learned that the son is only studying history because that's what his father did. It's not
Which
really
is true.
Choice.
I mean, it's what got me into history, is my dad. Fritz Weaver. Thank you, Ray. He was just one of those great character actors from the period. And you'll see that with films. You'll see actors that just were in all sorts of things for like 10 to 20 years, and then they just sort of fade away.
I just want to say quick, I don't know how people aren't fascinated with history. And I think if we threw out sports, that might be most male Americans, like maybe one of the top 3 hobbies. People love history.
Now, by the way, I want to point out, this is Roy Scheider's first movie after he did Jaws. He had done French Connection, the 7-Ups, Jaws, and then this.
And Roy's from here, right?
I think so.
Pretty sure.
Scheider?
He lived up.
He's American. He's New York.
He's American?
Yeah.
He's from New York. A place upstate on like a very exclusive lake.
In fact, if you watch Jaws, you hear that he had left his job as a New York cop.
Yes.
To become the sheriff of an island, and he's terrified of water. One of the best moments of irony: a cop who's afraid of water becomes the sheriff of an island.
Well, it's only an island if you look away from the sea.
You can quote the movie all you want to; it still doesn't take away from the irony.
Look at that, the beautiful Paris Opera.
By the way, Roy Scheider, close. Orange, New Jersey, if anyone's counting. He's pretty close to
He's
New
from
York. He'd have a
Jersey?
New York accent. Orange, New Jersey, yeah. So East Orange also is pretty close. He's from a part of New Jersey that's like 35 minutes from Midtown, if I'm thinking of the correct place. It's not like Hohokus or someplace deep in there.
I've always thought he was from Brooklyn. He always
That's
struck
the
me as,
accent he
someone-
affects.
Yeah.
He looks like he's from Brooklyn and born the year he's born. And just if anyone's wondering, with Roy Scheider, it was November 10th, 1932.
Oh, there's the Frenchman that thought he was dead. Now he's dead. Had his throat cut. Ruh-roh. And then we see the guy with the weird eye. There he is.
Really weird.
Who seems to enjoy his work a little too much.
Definitely.
The man who enjoys.
Now, this is the
himself,
same
never truly worked.
row of pillars from the movie Charade, where Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn confront Walter Matthau at the end.
I did not recognize it.
It's one of the things I do is I spot things like that in movies. I go, I know that location. I remember that.
I do that with the music, remember? Because the opera that they're watching is Herodiat by Massenet, and I picked that one up. And a little later, they're listening to a singer, and I recognize both the singer and the composer. So that's how I grew up. That's my childhood nerddom, classical music.
Now, I thought I'd point out that right after making this movie, Roy Scheider went to South America to make the movie Sorcerer, which is an intense thriller. And if you've never seen it, the stunts done in that film, how they survive some of those stunts, I don't know. I really don't. It's crazy because I would learn later that some of the stuff in that film that we thought was real was done through staging. And it's like, it's so well done. It's hard to tell that that's a fake bridge.
They did crazy stunts back then. I mean, the movie with Coming Up for Monday, he almost got really badly hurt doing some of his stunts. So yeah, that they just weren't as cautious as they are today.
Is this the piano chord scene?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, this is great.
My God, when you see the blood spray from his hand,
it's so hard to watch.
I lost my shit.
Yeah.
I lost my shit going, oh my God, how'd they do that? I didn't care about the story aspect of it. All I cared about was, how did they do that? Because I just got to find out how they did every effect. Oh, God, you can see him behind the curtain there. That is so creepy. And the old Frenchman. There, behind the curtain, look out.
He's just
wait,
on
you're
the balcony
American.
watching TV. People watching. He gets all excited about that. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I like that, Ray. I like that. I like that movie, by the way. Runaway is a much better film than it gets credit for. It was Tom Selleck's Blade Runner.
Isn't our bad guy in that one good old Gene Simmons?
Yes.
Yep.
He's the villain.
I'm watching the movie, and
It's not
good,
the only
but,
one. He did that movie with Wanted
Hauer.
Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
He's
Gene
good as
Simmons
villains.
he was pretty good. He leaned heavily into his musical experience or whatever. He knew how to memorize
We didn't get
stuff.
to see how he killed him. I love the way he kills this guy. Is he gets around behind him and he grabs him by the top of his forehead and puts his knee into his mid-thoracic and just uses the fulcrum and snaps his back and probably his neck. It was an intense fight scene.
Gerry paused it when we were watching it, and he said to me, "This is how you break someone's back and neck." And I was like, "Okay, the things I learned from my boyfriend are sometimes weird."
Perfect bend where he bent his knee right into the lower upper lumbar, lower thoracic. There's a fulcrum there, right where the ribs meet the lower part of the spine. It's a perfect fulcrum. Yeah, Michael Crichton.
I was not aware of that.
Wasn't he? Wait a minute. Who directed it? I thought he also directed it.
Maybe
I thought he directed Runaway. I like Michael Crichton's filmmaking.
He's most of his movies, his books kind of read like a movie script, and he's only Philip K. Dick writes more of a movie pitch than Michael Crichton. But
Well, Michael Crichton is always writing about things going awry, these things that you want in your life. Robots was that one. and again, robots with Westworld, alien
Yep.
viruses in
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the movie because he was the
Andromeda
first one to
Strain.
Andromeda
address
Strain.
Andromeda Strain.
Yeah.
That movie scared the crap out of me as a kid. There he is, William Devane. And he's fresh off of making his little action film with Tommy Lee Jones called Rolling Thunder, which we talked about on Military Monday. Devane just looks like a Kennedy.
Yes, he does.
And that's
He
why it was
does.
perfect when he played John Kennedy in The Missiles of October with Martin Sheen
Yeah.
as Bobby.
I always thought Roy and Marty looked like they could be like brothers or something, you know? Very similar. I guess there's an age difference. When Roy starts to age out of this role, it goes to Martin Sheen over and over. And if you can't get Roy, you're calling Marty at this point.
Now, this is where
All
Dustin
right.
Hoffman meets the little girl. She claims to be from Switzerland, but she's not. She's not Swiss. In fact, his brother catches her in a lie.
Oh, he picks it up immediately. Or maybe it's a routine thing that he does with his little brother's girlfriends. I don't know, but he starts talking to her and immediately knows she's playing.
Mm.
She's not who she claims she is. But it's cute.
And
how
I
he
think one of the
tries to get
most
to talk to
painful
her.
moments in the film is when he finds out the truth about her. And it just
Yeah.
breaks your heart. Because she goes, "When did you know?" And he goes, "I never knew. I just found out." You know, and it just breaks your heart what happened.
Because he's so young and so naive, and he gets so hurt.
The Graduate is a film I plan on doing. I'm going to introduce Anima to that movie. I love that movie. It was one of my dad's favorite. He would just chuckle watching that movie.
I'm looking forward to watching that.
Taylor Swift, greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, is here.
That's a fun name.
Not
So
to
where
type.
is this? Like Rome, London? Where the first encounter is in some European city and he splits and makes it to New York, right? Or is he or both of them already?
Yeah,
in
he
New York?
leaves Paris to head to the U.S. because he knows shit's going down.
What he finds out isn't one of the old guys who die in the beginning is his uncle, his dad's brother.
Wow.
So he knows something
No.
is going on.
No.
Oh,
no.
you're talking about Zell. Zell is coming to America. I was talking about
Oh.
Roy Scheider coming back to America.
Well, he has a feeling that something is going on, so he has to go be closer to his brother.
As
But I agree with you, Kingsport Cal. I think The Graduate is the film he's going to always be remembered for.
Kramer versus Kramer might be like number 2 though. Pretty good. Remember that one?
I've never seen it, never wanted to see it.
When my parents
Okay.
took me to see that,
I saw
parents
it.
took me to see that, I started looking at them both side-eyed, like halfway through the movie. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me here?
God
Okay.
damn it.
Yeah. Like for like the next day or two after that movie, I was like watching my parents very closely, and like finally, like they kissed or something. Like, okay, maybe they're not going to get divorced.
And Zell, in order to hide his white hair, shaves the top of his head to make himself look bald.
He cuts his hair and shaves his top of his head. Yeah, takes
Isn't
them a
it
while
little
to
weird?
pick that up.
I love it for the character.
Yeah,
'cause it
Rain
makes him
Man is
so
more of a
alien.
film that Tom Cruise will be remembered for. Dustin Hoffman,
Agree.
period. Just The Graduate is the film that he's going to always be remembered for.
Not Sphere, the Michael Crichton classic.
You know, I hated that movie because I read the book before seeing the film, and they took everything that was awesome in the book out of the movie. And I was like, nah, I'm done.
That sucks.
The one with the monkey, is that a fake Crichton or is that Michael Crichton as well?
The what one?
The one with the very germy monkey that gets the whole town sick or whatever.
Oh, no, it's
what's
not
his
Crichton.
name? McLovin
Dustin's
has
in that one.
the monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Al Dye's
a
in that,
fake
my
Crichton
boss.
movie. Is it? Is he the guy who calls off the airstrike?
He was the military advisor in it, yeah. And if he's a military advisor, he can
Outbreak.
also be in the
Thank
movie.
you, Cycleman.
Outbreak.
Yes, Outbreak.
I like
That's
that
the
movie.
name of it. Yeah, it's not bad. Outbreak's really good. It's Sphere is bad. Outbreak is pretty good. There's so many Michael Crichton movies. I swear one day they're going to publish that man's like address book and just make it a movie. Everything he puts to paper makes money.
Well, he's good.
He's also dead.
Yeah. We
Was
lost him
good.
like 4
Okay.
or 5 a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
He died young.
Yeah.
He was a doctor, took care of himself, still died.
Yeah.
Doctors
He
are the
just got
worst
very
patients
unlucky.
usually.
In photographs, he looks terrible after the age of like 35. He was like maybe chronically ill and didn't bother telling anyone.
Well, like I say,
So-
doctors are the worst patients.
Right.
Oh, sexy time.
It's like when
What?
the
Oh.
old saying, mechanics have the worst cars.
He's a boy in love.
She likes him too.
Yeah, it's kind of clear that she actually does have feelings for him, but that happens a lot. Congo had some good stuff in it. I like Congo. Bruce Campbell
It had
screams
Bruce
at
Campbell, exactly.
as he gets killed.
And Laura
Cries-
Linney's really good in
screams like
that
a little
movie.
girl.
We
Bruce
get
Campbell
Laura
screams.
Linney, and we get one of the Ghostbusters comes in.
Yep. Bruce screams like a little girl.
I want to hear that now.
Oh,
You
you
know
need
what
to see
they-
the movie. I love the makeup effects they did for the monkey, the ape, the gorilla. It was really good. It spoke sign language.
Yeah, I would like to see if we could get that gorilla to coach the Jets this coming season because he could only do as bad.
Absolutely. I think the film wasn't as good as it should have been. I think it was kind of an average film. I'd love to see a miniseries based on that book.
Congo
Not a
died when
movie.
they
I'd
shot
love
it.
to see a miniseries.
It was filmed badly. It looks like television. The opening sequence isn't too good, and they're just trying to get by on the fact that there's all these other Michael Crichton movies are working. You know, people love him. We'll just put that out there, and we'll put his name above the title. And this one was just not made to be a movie, or didn't work with their approach. It gets kind of silly by the middle.
There was a security issue here, and it was kind of interesting showing
Baggage handlers strike.
out on the
That's what it
tarmac.
was. The baggage handlers were on strike, so that cost
Yeah.
chaos, and it helped him. And that bracelet you just saw him pull on, that thing is mean.
Oh, with the knife? Yeah, it's scary as hell.
Yes. Yeah. It's also
I don't
sharp as hell because he's cutting through throats like nothing. That's a mean weapon.
Yeah, Clay. That's undeniable.
A lot of times depends which one you see first, because when his movies are made right, they're pretty good.
Oh no,
No,
believe
I'm
me.
with Martin.
It doesn't matter the order. Crichton is one of the authors with the worst adaptations of his works,
Jurassic Park 2?
especially Jurassic Park.
No,
Okay, I need
not
to-
even related. Not even related.
I want to address this. I didn't see that he had asked this question. Slasher Fred asked, do you guys consider the movie All the President's Men to be a conspiracy movie? Clearly, it's a
Freedom of
conspiracy
speech
film
movie.
because there is a conspiracy to suppress the truth. And oddly and ironically, today it's the media that does it. But back then, they got caught doing it. They got caught breaking in, and then Nixon got caught lying. And I don't know if he was lying at first, but he was lying later. Because at first, I don't think he was fully aware of what was going on. And then later, once he had been filled in of what was happening, he absolutely lied.
G. Gordon Liddy spoke at my college. It was strange to see him. Just strange.
I've met him. I've also met Ollie North. And funny story with him, I was caddying at I just forgot the name of it. Shannon Green's in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and he was coming there to play. I didn't caddy for him, but I saw him pull up, and the guy that parks the cars got so nervous he locked Oliver North's keys in his car. He left them in the car when he parked it and shut the door, and it was locked.
If any car you park is going to blow up in that job, it's going to be Oliver North's. I understand his trepidation. Mr. North needs to carry a spare key. He's going to live his life like that.
I would say books are often better, but there are books that are not as good as the film. Godfather, for a prime example.
Yes.
It's almost a dime store book. It's not very good. Mario Puzo had great ideas. Jaws is another one. The movie's better than the book.
Yeah.
Can I just point out an important detail? His brother just broke into his apartment, pretending to be a thief, surprising him, testing his reflexes and shit. And
again, a scene that's been foreshadowed of him in the bathtub, putting the cloth over his face and sleeping. And he's always afraid of break-ins here because he lives in a tough area. And so it's foreshadowing to what's eventually going to happen.
As soon as he realizes there's someone in the dark, he shouts, "I have a gun!" And then after it's clear, it's just his brother. His brother wants to know, what about the gun? And he shows him, and it's the gun that his father used to commit suicide. He still kept it. He doesn't know why exactly, but he kept it.
I would say 90% of the time you're right. But there's that 10% where the film surpasses what they did in the book. In fact, another one, First Blood. The movie's better than the book.
Outlaw Josie Wales.
Never read it, so I have no opinion on that one.
Gone to Texas is the title.
Is it better?
No, the movie's much better.
That's what I'm asking. Is it better?
The movie is markedly better. You don't need to read Gone to Texas. It's not bad, but the movie's better.
Oh, I love this movie. This is where he begins to question her intentionally about things.
It's so funny how different they are. The older brother is all posh and style and stuff, and the younger brother is just the student living in a shithole of an apartment, not caring much for money or anything. They're so different, but they love each other. I love their relationship.
And he looks so dumb in that tie.
Yes, he does.
It's so
well,
funny.
He didn't fasten the upper button, so it's all
tie is required.
And
I disagree.
Oh no, I'm going to tell you this: that I absolutely 100% agree with him, and I can tell you why. I'll do a breakdown of my problem. The narcissism of Stephen King has always been his undoing in his writing. But The Shining is a far superior film to the book.
He's right.
Because the book is, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some great moments in the book. There really are. And it's about self-sacrifice. That he doesn't just forget. The dad doesn't forget about the boilers. He intentionally doesn't do it. But he does it in a very subtle way that the spirits are unaware of what he's doing until it's too late. And he brings the place down. All to save his son. And then he shows up as a ghost with his son. And I love that. But past that, it's such a children's story compared to what Kubrick did. Kubrick is, they don't debate the book to this day. They debate that movie of what everything meant.
I love
do
that movie.
Do the ghosts even exist? Is everything in her mind? You know, because there's that one theory. I entertained it with friends if I went. Now there's some problems.
No, the Overlook Hotel was built in a very, very bad place, and Stephen King plagiarizes back. There's a maze in a future book, and there's an Indian burial ground in the future book. So he gets his money's worth. He was angry though. Stephen King himself, I think I read an interview where he said he had described the car that the Torrances had very carefully, right? And at the beginning of the movie, we see a car crash, and that's the car.
It's that car. It's that color VW.
Yeah, and
it's the red VW
car. And
it was a Super Beetle.
Spielberg, I mean not Spielberg. I'm sorry. King felt that was an intentional, like, either notice or F you to him.
And, you know, he can take it all he wants to. Look, I don't like Stephen King. I think he's a twat. He
No one
really
likes him anymore. He destroyed himself with Twitter. No one cares what he thinks. I wouldn't pay to read one of his books after what I've read for free on Twitter. He's so mean.
what I've always said when I did reviews of his books for the magazine, I would write, close the book at the last chapter, make up your own ending, you'll be happier. Because he doesn't know how to wrap up. He really has a trouble wrapping up his books. Pet Cemetery is one of the best endings he ever wrote.
That was going through my mind.
Oh,
I
I
thought
like
he knocked it out of the park with that story.
I like
It
the ending of
has the most
Canonical?
messed up ending. In fact, the whole sewer scene. Don't even read that. Don't even read it. Just
Stephen King
close the
said the
book.
movie. He said the movie ending is canonical, where they go 1 or 2 minutes further after the end of the
Knows
book.
what he thinks. God, he's such an idiot. Look,
I like the movie ending better. I'm sorry.
No, I do too. I also like the miniseries ending better. But the problem with him is his fixation with young people and is weird.
He's a
From
weird guy.
Gerry
guys.
to what happened in It.
Is that moment of the show?
Okay.
But first I'm leaving saying that I like the ending of The Running Man, the book.
Oh, that was when he was under the name Richard Bachman.
Yes. And here we
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
Sorry, wasn't my intention to cut you off.
That's all right.
What are you saying about Bachman?
Richard Bachman, his short stories were better when he was writing under that name. It's almost like he let go of his way of writing and went in another direction, which I think was better.
Thinner is probably the best one.
My favorite stuff from the 80s, late 70s and the 80s for horror was Clive Barker and Dean R. Koontz. They were far superior writers. Peter Straub was better. Peter Straub wrote the Ghost Story, which got turned into a movie that I love too. Creepy freaking movie.
I kind of liked his books, and then when The Stand came out, the thing was like this big as a telephone book. I'm like, yeah, I'm done with Stephen King. I'm done with him. I don't need to.
Well, it's like when he wrote It. He wrote It. It's like he probably turned to Tabitha just like this. He's like, oh, that's 2,000 pages. Better wrap this shit up. And he just has the dumbest ending to It. It's just so stupid. It's a giant galactic spider versus Gamera. Stupid.
They keep trying to.
The bicycle scene at the end, the epilogue was so dumb. The bicycle scene bringing her out of her catatonic state. I'm just like, where does he get this?
I think where he gets it from starts in a place like Colombia, and then is handled by a cartel.
Yeah. Hey, Ray, I'm going to tell you right now. My favorite thing about Stephen King is his short stories. I like his short stories. And I like Salem's Lot, Jerusalem's Lot, Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is absolutely not only one of his best stories, it is the best adaptation of any of his work. It is the one with David Soul and Kirby as the kid. What a great miniseries. By the way, I have the miniseries movie and then I have the movie. The movie's shorter. It's only about 2 hours. But the entire, if you watch the miniseries turned into a movie, it's 3 hours and 5 minutes.
I
And
love
it's good.
Priest versus Nosferatu for that one. That's the high point
Yeah.
of that to me. Face the
Well, I love
master.
how they did it. I love the vampire is made to look like Nosferatu. I do.
Who is playing his equivalent of Renfield? He had his it was somebody huge. I'm trying to remember. It's not.
It was
Steve
James
Green.
Mason. Hello,
Thank
my
you.
name is James Mason. I sound like an Englishman who's got to go to the bathroom. Really bad thing.
Is he merely from New England?
What?
Is he British or is he from New England?
British. Yeah.
Okay. I can
Yeah,
never
big
really
time.
tell.
He's from London. James Mason. He has the proper English accent, as they would call it. But anyway, this is after Roy Scheider shows up at his house. Zell stabbed him in the liver, killing him, and somehow managed to make it all the way to try to warn his brother. And this is when Roy Scheider's old buddy meets his brother for the first time, apologizes, and tells him we have to do this investigation. It's not just the police. This is CIA. Which is funny because CIA aren't supposed to, but they do work within the United States borders. But William Devane is playing the buddy thing really well here. But it's the Hoffman's character is broken because his brother just died in his living room.
Out that nothing he believed in was real.
Is
His
Devane
brother
in
had a life
Condor
that
as well?
was completely different from what he told him that he had.
What about the Condor?
Is Devane in that one too?
No.
No. Who's the person who makes him that final offer and
Cliff
bottom
Robertson.
lines him at the end of the movie?
Cliff Robertson.
That's who it. Yeah, that's a cool ending. That movie had a great ending.
Or as you would know him, Shame.
From Batman. I love Shame.
Yeah. Everybody went, hey, that's the actor to play Shame. So now this is really, we're halfway through. We transition from Act 2 moving towards Act 3. It's not Act 3 yet, but this is towards the transition because everything's got to change. Act 3 begins at the end of the torture scene, and it's a grueling scene. Grueling.
At this point, he still thinks he can keep out of all the shit, but he learns quickly, you're in the middle of this now. Oh, this is intense. Where someone's trying to break into his bathroom and he's no way to escape because the window is too small.
And here's the payoff because somebody comes into the apartment, scares the shit out of him.
Because he knows it can't be his brother. It's a thing his brother kept doing all the time, but he's dead now. So this time it's real. And it freaks him out.
And the creepiest part of this, you can hear them whispering out in the living room. Man. And of course, he's having flashbacks to when his dad committed suicide. He was there.
I don't think he ever stopped having them. They're just more intense now that his brother died. In the way that he died. He wanted to leave all this behind.
Martin wants you to take on the chat for a little bit.
Okay.
And here it is. He hears them out there. And God, this scene is so... I was on the edge of my seat watching this scene as a kid.
Dude, I was biting my fingernails last night when we watched it.
Tim goes, a woman working the chat.
Yes, Tim, and I've done it before, so fuck you. Shut up.
It's okay. She's been checked out.
It's not a first. I've done it before.
Oh, yeah. Reggie Nadler is Barlow. Yeah. He's an actor who, man, he's been in everything. Seinfeld, he was always a background actor, usually playing a thug or a druggie. But the guy was so good as the vampire in that. Oh. And again, we lost David Soul this year. One of the first deaths of 2024.
Oh, man.
And I really want, this is where they put him in
shit
the
like
tub.
that freaks me out. They tried to drown him. Or at least
I don't think they're really
conscious.
trying to drown him. I think they're subduing him because Zell wants to question him.
Yeah.
Is it safe? I need
Is
to
it
know.
safe?
Is it safe?
I kind of love that. This is why I get out of bed in the morning sort of attitude Zale has about this too.
And the whole, he'll start talking about his teeth. Oh, it didn't take care of his teeth very well.
You have a cavity right here, and he digs into
Now
it.
we're not going to mess with this one here because the nose is almost dead in that one. We want a fresh nose.
No, that's the second time. That's the second time he has him in
I know,
the
but
chair.
I'm just repeating stuff he says, and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, he's so sweet and kind. And then he starts talking about, so you're planning to teach history? Oh, that's interesting. Like he's got a future. Like they're not planning to kill him. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is
This
evil.
is so creepy.
And the most evil thing about him is, even when he smiles, there's no smile in his eye. He nailed that. It's sort of like that thing where in Vindicated, John has this moment where he's talking to Bill about one of the villains. He goes, look at me smiling. He goes, yeah, he's a really good guy. And he goes, now cover his mouth. Eyes want to kill you. Smile.
Yes.
Eyes want to kill you. He says he's a complete psychopath.
That's one of the problems we had with Homelander and The Boys. He's supposed to be the perfect, American Superboy, but the smile never reaches his eyes. Never. Jesus Christ, Ray. Happened to me too. It never started to work and they had to do the fitting anyway. I'm terrified of dentists. I haven't been in way too long. So I couldn't watch this scene. I was looking away, had my headset on my shoulder so I could barely hear it. Terrible.
And now that we're into the scene, I'm going to go ahead and tell the story. So Dustin Hoffman went and slept on the street and didn't properly sleep for like 3 days, didn't bathe, didn't shave for this one scene. And apparently, here, I'll read it this way. The legendary story goes that when Olivier heard Hoffman had stayed up all night for 2 days straight before shooting the scenes where his character hadn't slept for 72 hours, he allegedly told his co-star, my dear boy, why don't you just try acting?
I love that story.
Yeah. And it's, but I'm trying to find it here because he apparently said something back or did something back.
I just feel so bad for Hoffman in that scene because he has no idea what's going on. And all that you say is this question, is it safe? And he has no idea. And they don't believe him. It's just terrible.
Well, there's nothing he can say. Because no matter what he says, no matter what he says, it doesn't work.
They're so convinced that he knows something. And he's so helpless. It's just, and on top of that, it's a dentist torturing him. Ticks a lot of boxes for me. And yes, people don't need spiders involved to get terrified.
So Hoffman claims that the insomnia was not because of method, but because of the fact that he had been partying in the wake of his divorce. But whatever the truth of the matter is, the tale has since become symbolic of the friction between classic and method actors. The same thing happened between Nicholson and was it Vincent Price, I think. It's either him or Boris Karloff in one of Corman's films. I think it was The Raven. where he threw him into a chair, and the actor got angry. He says, "I can do my own acting. You don't need to throw me into the chair."
Oh
And
yeah, David.
it pissed him off that Nicholson physically threw him into the chair.
David Hewlett had that with Robert Davi on Stargate Atlantis. Robert Davi is very much method, and he actually hurt him, pushing him back into that rail when it's raining all the time. And Hewlett loathed him for that. He kept telling him, "You don't need to hurt me. I can act it."
Yep. So this is a great scene because Devane is Roy Scheider's buddy, and so he thinks he's being rescued. He's going into this shit with him. And it's such a mind fuck moment when they go right back to the same building. He's driving around. He's going in a full circle, brings him right back. And then he realizes, oh my God, the CIA's in on this too. And it freaks him out. And he knows he's doomed. He knows he's doomed. Because they're right back in the same spot. He goes, "Oh, they're taking me away. I thought you killed them. You killed them." He's, oh my God. He's scene.
Beginning to figure things out, and it freaks him. And I think this is where he goes into revenge mode. This is where it starts, because now he knows who killed his brother.
We are now transitioning into the third act.
Yeah.
Because once he begins to change his character arc, this is the beginning of his arc into the third act. He's learning to be a pessimist like his brother. Be a little more cynical.
Being tortured does that to you. I mean, here's the second
it's changing
time.
him.
And this time he's messing up his front tooth.
Yeah, he just drills all around in that tooth, getting those fresh nerves.
The damaged tooth, that nerve is already dying. Now I'll go for a tooth that's intact because that's going to hurt way more. Oh my God. Horror.
And he gives him that, he has that tincture to help with the pain. I love that. And you'll see, that is the true transition of his character right there with that bottle. That bottle symbolizes the change in his character. Use the pain.
He chooses to get rid of it and use the pain instead to focus on his mission.
Yeah, because he's been just rubbing it, trying to kill the pain. And then finally he does it. And then he looks at the bottle and he just breaks it on the ground. Because the pain helps you focus in the story. And I love that, his character. Yeah. And he becomes dangerous. That is the moment he becomes dangerous.
Because he realizes he can't get out of this and they killed his brother. So he puts everything into revenge.
Oil of clove. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Can also just bite onto a cloth, a dried one. Clove.
I have a question. In the time that I wasn't present, did somebody play Tim's video?
He got it twice yesterday. Don't be such a diva, Tim.
Play it.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me
Bob.
Tim.
Hey, you should edit that video with that.
Yes. No, have Mike do it. Have Mike do a really fun version of it.
I'll just change it to MKHC 2000.
Oh my God.
Put the avatar over the wizard's face.
So this is where he makes his break.
Is this where he tries to run?
I used to keep all sorts of herbal remedies around my house. Got that tooth. It's got all those holes in it. It almost looks like it's been knocked out, but it's still there.
Well, he's bleeding from his mouth for a while until he cleans that up. So they really messed him up.
Everyone's been there, so this part of the movie is extremely effective. Or a lot of us at least have been there.
Who is not afraid of the dentist? I mean, torture doctor.
Now this is the scene, by the way, when he calls her to pick him up. They show that block, that corner, and I'm serious, dude. I think it's the same block from 3 Days of the Condor. Hey,
Look
Shinatsky,
what
how
the
you
cat
doing, buddy?
dragged in.
Nazi.
And again, cutting back to this guy finishing the race. This is such a monumental film strip in the movie, and it really does symbolize him in so many ways. Because you're alone. You're all on your own. Nobody's there to help you. You have to do it on your own.
But what scared me is this kid is training all the time. He's running all the time. And the dude in his suit is almost outrunning him until he stumbles on the rocks finally.
Yeah, he falls on the rocks, and it's
Very
like
intense chase.
you can tell that it really hurt as a
Oh.
character. I don't know if it hurt him as an actor, but landing on the rocks the way he does, that was gnarly.
Mhm. When
You
he
get that
fell, I
little
was like,
snub nose 32 piece of shit pistol.
when he jumps from one lane down to the other, that was great.
Yeah, it made that thing. I have that sympathetic pain thing where it shoots like electricity through my body when somebody does something that looks painful. That whole empathy thing. God, I hate it.
I just get uncomfortable, but I feel it too.
It's very similar to, like, if you're a guy, you know this feeling when you go up over a hill too quickly and it feels like your nuts went into your gut. That's what it feels like every single time somebody like lands on their feet or hits pavement, like asphalt. Oh my God, it just every single time it does it to me, and I hate it. I would like to take a medication that would stop that from happening.
Gary,
Something to
you
numb
have
your
some of
nuts?
the most
Okay.
wonderful and terrible metaphors in the history of humanity.
True.
Hey, I told that story last night with
I was just
Friday
going to say,
Friday
yeah.
nights. They wanted to
told
hear
the
it. They
kid's
like,
story.
no. I said, but I'll tell that story. No, we want to hear this. So
They
I told the
loved
kid the
it.
story.
They
They were
loved it.
laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. He gives him his Rolex watch for a dime. And the guy says, here, you can have some more change.
Ratchet's
we
here.
have
Ratchet's here
Hello.
too. Look at you guys showing up at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
No,
so sorry.
we got some time. We got some. Don't worry about it, man. We still got
Yeah,
some more
no.
to go. We're going into the third act now. We've officially
Yes.
transitioned into the third act, but I don't think the third act really kicks in until he smashes that bottle of clove oil.
Yes.
Yes, but Gary, is it safe, Gary?
Is it safe? Was
No,
there a
it's not
skit
safe.
on Saturday Night Live about this? I can't remember. It seems like
The
there
Clerks
was.
cartoon opens with that where he
That's what it
enters
was. I remember
convenience
there was
store.
something about it. Yeah.
No, he intends to make sure it's not safe.
Is it safe?
And that's
Yes,
the
it's
third
safe.
act.
It's totally safe. It's completely and utterly safe. No,
You
no,
wouldn't
it's
believe
not
how safe it is.
Because no matter what he says, it's not the answer they want. It's like,
Hey,
what do you want
Pearlhead.
from me?
Well,
The
that's why.
Nerdtorial life form is here. What's up?
I mean, that's why they're going to get rid of him, because he finally concludes he doesn't know anything.
Yep.
And
Also, Parrot Head's here. What's up, man?
Parrot Head. Oh, hey there.
Yeah, a series I love
Hello,
that does a
hello,
similar thing.
Nerdtorial.
Das Wolfen is here too. What's up, John? So you were saying something, Red Shirt.
Hey,
Well, yeah. He doesn't know anything. What to me, what really makes this the Marathon Man is that he doesn't quit. That's what his training has gotten him. He doesn't know anything. He's not trained to do anything, but he's not going to quit now.
Well, he's not
And
going to
as
get
we go
rid
into
of
the
these
third
guys.
act, yeah, he's determined to do whatever it takes.
Exactly.
And
He has finally adopted the cynicism and realism of his brother. By the way, this is one of my favorite moments in the film when he tells this guy to go rob his apartment. He goes,
Take whatever you want.
and it's you got to be careful. This is going to be dangerous. They got guns, and he goes, "That's what makes it fun."
Yeah, he
Yes.
says there's a catch though. It's dangerous. That ain't the catch. That's the fun.
And
That's not
right.
the catch.
I don't know if it's in the slideshow, but that scene when the guy intercepts them with his gun and they all pull out they're gonna blow off,
Yeah.
motherfucker. I'm clipping that and putting
Yeah, he's got the pistol. He's got his pistol out, and then they all turn have guns, and it's like, oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that kind of party.
Right. Well, yeah, you know, it just I don't know for the audience, I don't know for you guys. What little I know about marathon running, because God forbid I ever tried to run a marathon, I'd probably die in the attempt. But there's a point, and I lived in Massachusetts for years, so I know about the Boston Marathon. And there's a section called Heartbreak Hill, which is a few miles from the end of the race, and it is basically where everybody's body starts to shut down. You're running on, you're doing basically anaerobic exercise. This is what marathon runners have to go through. And you hit the wall. And your body
here
says,
it is. Hold on. This is the corner. I'm sorry. This is the corner scene. I believe it is the same intersection that you see at the end of 6 days or 3 days of the Condor. This also reminds me of the scene in Witness when he's waiting for the bad guys to show up.
Yes.
So, by the way, Sci-Fi Mombi, a new member, so grateful for you joining. I hate interrupting. I need to go into this. I apologize. Nerdporio says The Darkness of 70s Cinema, Parallax View. It's a good film. Warren Beatty just made my mouth drop. It's a that is absolutely a political conspiracy film. Absolutely is.
Yep.
Let's see. Pop Culture Minefield, is Gettysburg on the list? It is not. Although
movie.
it is. I love Gettysburg. I'm more of a fan of its sequel because they got Robert Duvall to play Robert E. Lee, because I didn't like Martin Sheen as Robert E. Lee.
I'm gonna have to say I found his performance breathtaking.
A lot of people say that, man. I'm not that big a fan of Martin Sheen. He's good in some things and not so good to me in others. Nerdporio Lifeform says, I know Seinfeld is, and I've seen that one. That's what I remember most, right there. It was Seinfeld making fun of this movie, doing the parody, not making fun, but doing a parody. This is when she gets caught. This is important because he catches her. And how long did you know? And he goes, I didn't. I had hoped it wasn't true. And now he wants to know, when are they going to be here?
I'll try and do this fast, Gary.
Go for it, buddy.
A marathon runner hits the wall, and they know they have several miles they have to go. They're not done.
Explain what the wall is, so people know what you're talking.
The wall is where your muscles are so full of lactic acid from running that you're basically becoming one large cramp. And you have to run several more miles anyway to finish the race. A lot of people stop and walk at that point. They walk off, like the coach always told you in high school, now walk up, now walk around after you ran. Because you got to walk the lactic acid out of your muscles. Marathon runners don't get to do that. They have to finish the race. When he's tortured and he escapes from them, basically, to me, that's in the movie, the metaphor for the wall. And now he has to go through it and finish it. And that's why I think the movie, I love the title, and I love the fact that they made him a marathon runner, because it is so essential to him in the story. It's the only advantage.
It's both literal and a metaphor. It's both literal and a metaphor within the film.
Also, he wants to be. He has never yet completed a marathon. He wants to be one, and he's training for one. And that gives him everything he needs to beat these guys.
Right.
And for those who didn't know, this is the first wave of people who ever started working out and going to a gym. It was unheard of like 10 years before, that you would run around in the cold before you go to work or something.
Yes.
Now, this is Zell's brother's house, the one that died in the car accident at the beginning. I love that Colt 1911, man. Hell of a weapon. And this is such an intense, God, I love this scene.
It's so hard when he confronts her and tells her all the facts, and she confirms, and that's the way how he finds out it's really true. You can tell she's heartbroken too. She has a job to do and she's hating it at this point.
Yeah, because I think she's developed a lot of sympathy for him.
He genuinely cares about him. And
Yes.
I think actually has feelings for him.
But yeah, now he's been dropped right in it. And he's decided he's going to try and make it go his way.
That's only
He's
one
no longer
direction.
in the chair. He's no longer in the chair.
Right.
And he doesn't want to go back there.
This
And
is
right
it.
here, this is the moment that we have officially gone into the third act right there.
Right. I agree.
That is his transition as a character. And I even said it out loud, you know, pain helps you focus. Great cowboy standoff scene.
You brought too many horses.
Yeah.
If you've ever
I love
seen
that
Once
line.
Upon a Time in the West,
Yes,
you
it's a
know
great
what
film.
that line is
Yeah.
from.
It's a great line. Now I
Brought
got to tell you
too
right now,
many.
his fingers in the trigger housing, and he's got a 45. I would not fuck around when someone's pointing that
No.
at me. I've had one pointed at me, and it's intense.
My first wife had one pointed at her. He was on America's Most Wanted.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a prison. It was a felon from a prison, Cedar Junction prison in Massachusetts. And they used to send them to the hospital she worked in the ER on. And she looked up from her desk, and the prisoner's girlfriend was pointing a 45 at her. She'd just gotten a cup of coffee, and she said, I was thinking about throwing the cup of coffee in her face, but then I realized that her finger was on the trigger and her hand was shaking, and I decided not to move.
That's a good sign.
Or offer her
to not
any
move
coffee.
when they're that nervous.
Yeah. And yeah, apparently it was a comedy of errors when they left and the cops chased them. But for her, that was the most intense story I've ever heard her tell me. And so, yeah, I don't want to have a 45 ACP pointed at me.
I have not had
tell
one
you,
pointed at me,
it's
but I had one
disconcerting.
brandished at me. I had someone like kind of hold it up and like give me the finger at the same time, and I was like, I'll just let this one go.
Well,
Yeah, I've told this
I
before
did
because my
have
own
one of
father.
those pointed at me.
Oh God.
I was mugged.
My own father put one in my belly, and it was pretty scary. I had pissed him off. Okay,
How many movies has this actor been a bad guy in?
That's all he ever did.
That's all he ever did.
Some actors, they have a look, and that's all they get to do.
That's
Play
right.
bad guys. It's a career. This guy,
It's
the
a
other
living.
dude, is always fucking around touching things, and it's like I knew he was going to be a problem. So Devane ends up shooting the two guys.
Yep.
For Hoffman, and then puts his weapon down and says, "I'll give you Zell. Here's Zell. This is for your brother." But I'm got to be honest with you. Why did he shoot them? Because then he turns right around and he's going to try to shoot Hoffman in a second. It really kind of, every time I go back to this, it's like, why did he shoot his guys?
He tells him, he says they were becoming a problem. He couldn't trust them anymore.
Is that really what it was?
That's what he tells him. That's what he says.
Yeah, see, I just don't know. Because then he turns right around after putting his weapon down, jumps up, shoots her, and goes to shoot him. And Hoffman, the scene this is one of my favorite moments in the film, and it's heartbreaking because she yells to warn him.
Yep.
She yells to warn him.
And that's just one reason why he shoots her. He has no more use for her. He doesn't need her anymore, so she can go.
I've always found it, and I watched this again a couple of days ago, and I still find it difficult to figure out whether this is about a double cross or a triple cross or how badly this whole deal went down.
It's a mess.
Because What happened to the diamonds that the brother took out of the safe deposit box at the beginning of the movie? When
My
Roy
assumption
Scheider
is
puts them in the
massage
package and delivers them, and then he finds the guy dead at the opera. Where'd they go? You have trouble telling how many teams are on the field in this story.
There's
It's
at
so
least
complicated.
3 groups of people. You have
Yeah.
Zell and his people. You have the CIA, and then you have Roy Scheider, who kind of works in tandem with the CIA and Zell. So he's like
and
his own
maybe the
team.
Mossad.
So I don't think you see the Mossad in this. I really don't. I don't think the Mossad is in this at all. Although
he's-
that would have
he's
been
the
an element
Roy
I
would-
probably would have added.
Well,
I think
Roy
Roy would take a
Scheider.
contract from anyone, right?
Yeah.
Well, they
More
provide,
or
is
less.
what he says. William Devane and Roy Scheider, to me, are on the same team, but they play both sides of the aisle. Anybody who will pay them, as he says, as Devane says, we provide. What? Anything.
And if anyone
So-
knows who Kyle Chandler is, he's the modern version of William Devane from Zero Dark 30.
Don't think I remember him.
He's also in Peter Jackson's King Kong. He's the actor who's the head of the he always plays like a not so trustworthy government operative or spy. He always plays a spy. He's in Argo in the same role.
Now, I
Tell
do
you what.
miss this style of trope, the German/European, like professional killer/torturer characters that were prevalent in these types of movies.
Yeah, because he's based on Mengele.
Mengele,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
No
it's just
two
we
ways
don't
about
have
it.
them anymore.
And then ironically, he would play a Jewish character hunting Mengele later on. What a year later? I think a year later with Boys from Brazil.
Yes.
Wasn't that Gregory Peck?
Yeah, Gregory
Uh,
Peck plays Mengele.
I think we get rid of we kill off Olivier early in the movie, right?
No, he survives
No.
all the way to the end.
Been a while on that one.
Man, that was a little
Steve
inconvenient.
Guttenberg. This is before Steve Guttenberg was doing comedy, and he was doing dramatic film, and he plays one of the Jewish Mossad hunters looking for him, and he ends up dying.
I mean, this guy itself, he didn't think the whole thing through. Yeah, I'm going to go to
Oh, her character.
a
This
street
lady.
full of Jews.
Somebody help me! It is him! It is him!
Yep.
The devil! The devil! Like
The other-
like,
that
you
part.
want to like she would say something more identifiable, like the devil of Buchenwald. That would go.
Right.
Wait, what?
No, she calls him
Weiße
the white-haired
Engel.
angel. The
The
Weiße
Weiße
like
Engel, yes.
The
Yeah.
white-haired angel. And nobody cares. They just start reacting to her when she gets knocked down by the car. It's
Well,
so wrong.
the other guy that
If
recognized
you ever
him,
walk down 51st Street,
he followed
people
him
screaming.
until he hears the name, and then it clicks. Remember when he's one of the stores and the guy says, "I know you," and he has even the serial number tattooed on his wrist.
Yep.
The one that gets his throat sliced?
Yeah.
By his wrist knife? Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
no,
the blade
thing-
pops out again, and he slices that poor old man's throat.
What a
I like that
crazy
no one
weapon
that
is.
no one that he bullied in the past is going to take it anymore. They'd rather die than let him go. They all confront him. No one runs away. I might run away from this guy. He is so frightening.
Yeah, but this
And
needs to
it's-
stop. So
And it's New York, so nobody else is actually doing anything. They're just watching.
Yeah,
Because in
somebody
New
had
York,
to
you don't
screaming-
get involved.
Well, the
It's
crazy
not just
part
that,
is
but people-
you have so
Go
many
ahead.
Hasidic Jews in that one area. In fact, I told Anima, I said there are more Jewish people in New York than there is in Israel, and it's just so
And-
surprising how nobody's reacting to her.
because
Yeah.
it is New York,
And
and
it's
she
the
might be just
Diamond
one more
District.
crazy.
The Diamond
She's on
District,
51st
exactly.
Street and Broadway. They gave it before, and it looks to be that area. It is very much Upper Midtown, and those cabs were a staple. And You would see someone screaming and yelling in the streets in the 70s in New York City too often to take notice. This was every block that you saw someone acting like that.
Exactly.
Now, you know,
that's
if,
the point.
If I could do an edit.
It was same shit, different day to New Yorkers.
It was a bankrupt city with minimal services, with a lot of crime for like the
yeah. This is after
Teague.
This is after what you and I talked about the other day. The crisis in New York in '77 with the trash strike. But I want to point this out real quick. I've wanted to clip this to where he gets into this taxi and gives his instructions, and then I wanted to cut to the shot of the ghost of Christmas Past in Scrooged turning to him. Where you going, pal?
Nice.
This would be funny.
Oh, that'd be great.
Or the ghost cabbie in Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
By the way, he's fleeing towards Central Park, so he doesn't realize he's making a huge mistake. He's going to the one place in this city that Dustin Hoffman absolutely knows, because we see him jogging around the pond.
Well,
Yeah, but he doesn't.
for all
in
he
fact,
knows,
he
Dustin
goes-
Hoffman is dead.
In fact, he goes by in the opening scene. He goes right by that building, that the confrontation.
The
takes place.
castle. It's the castle in the middle of Central Park. That's what everyone calls it, at least. And that stuff really is in there, like the water pumping station. That's there.
This is one of my favorite lit scenes in the film. The way they lit the light on him when he's looking at these jewels, these diamonds stolen from Jewish people that he helped murder. Each one of those cans is full of diamonds. And the lighting in this is so freaking beautiful and intense. And he's giggling with glee of those diamonds. There it is. Look at that lighting.
Wouldn't you?
I wouldn't care. Like, I don't really care much for diamonds. I would never be in a diamond heist.
No, but you would care about all the money that you could sell it for.
I don't know.
I'd rather have
And,
emeralds.
it must be
I'm
a
a
pain
weird
in the ass to
person.
get rid of so
That's
many
just me.
diamonds.
Well, yeah, because you could
So
only
it's
sell to people who know, and can determine the value, and everything is investigated. Because one of the first things they check is to make sure it's not a blood diamond.
Yeah,
They
I'd
don't
much rather
want.
just rob
They
a bank
don't
and steal
want
money.
the market flooded. It's important that it's not flooded. De Beers pushes it that way.
Oh
So
yeah.
there he is.
Yeah.
He's got the 45 aimed at him. I've been to this park a few times as a kid.
No, the
G-
diamond
Gary,
market's
we could
basically
spend the
cartel.
next half an hour talking about why diamonds are overpriced, but I don't want to do that.
Well, I talked about it earlier that they don't actually have any value. De Beers determines their value.
Bingo. Yeah, Mrs. Redshirt's never understood that. She's fascinated by diamonds, and I said, no.
That's why I
They're
always
not
thought
valuable.
diamond heist movies are dumb.
Yes.
If you want to steal something, you want to steal precious metals.
or
technology.
actual precious gems like rubies and emeralds.
I was going to say, does that mean Green Ice is like a good movie? Because I didn't really enjoy it. Sorry.
Green Ice. That's Michael Caine, right?
Ryan O'Neal. And he's stealing some emeralds. And Rolling Stones bass player Bill Wyman did the soundtrack.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I need to see that.
Well,
I love
It
this.
might be a
this whole
bad
scene.
movie about an intelligent heist.
This
That's
is,
about right.
This scene inspired the end of The Comedian, one of my scripts, which I stole from myself and put at the end of Vindicated. Because I'm like, I can't, I'll probably never do The Comedian. But Vindicated is already in existence, and I need to take that scene and use it. And so this scene is echoed in Vindicated similarly.
Does he make them eat diamonds as well?
No, but I love that. I really do. He says you can keep all that you can eat.
Yes.
He only swallows one, and that is painful enough for him to decide, I'm not doing anymore.
Well, he knows that whatever he does, these are like the hardest substance on earth, and he's going to there's no
I
surviving
think it
eating
hurts
them.
going in.
And also to point out, I mean, these are cut diamonds.
Yes.
Cut
Yeah.
diamonds have
Rose-
sharp edges.
Yep.
They're rose cuts, I believe.
Yeah. That would not be pleasant to swallow, and it wouldn't be pleasant to find the next day either.
I want to say, like
If it
every New
even went
Yorker,
through.
when I walked past this building, I looked to see if that door was open, and there is some kind of gear in there. Whether or not this is the same place, I don't know. But the reservoir.
Oh, that's a
and,
movie
the
set.
water.
It's
I'm
not the
pretty
real
sure it
location.
is.
It's a movie set.
The real location does kind of exist, though. The reservoir for the city used to be under Central Park, so it's still there. Like, I don't know if they use it or not, but it's there.
I
What
love
did you
this.
send me,
I
Chris?
love the Victorian. I love all the the fact that this looks like it was built over 100 years ago. There's a
Yeah.
steampunk feel to it.
Yeah.
It almost looked like a James Bond scenario.
And also, I could imagine.
Teague, what
Edison
was
walking
the
around in there.
why'd you send me the IMDb link?
Oh, so that you could see Kyle Chandler and see that he is the modern William Devane. He's been in so many movies. You'll recognize him the second you see him, but he usually has
I
a
know him.
John haircut, just like Devane.
He's a good
Yeah, he's in
actor.
Zero
I
Dark
liked him in
30.
Super 8. I liked him in Super 8.
He's in so many good movies. He's usually a supporting actor, but he's real good. And I guess Zero Dark 30 is the defining role, right? Because it's so big. And he's in Argo too, I believe. He plays this type of agent, like he's basically doing what Devane does here.
Okay, so hold on, I got to check something. Can you pause it for a second? Parrot had sent me something.
Because of the sides and the factions in the war, is this not the perfect gun to be holding on this Yahtzee bastard?
Oh my god!
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my god! That I would kill somebody if they did that to me. Somebody was putting something into their ceiling, and the screws went through the floor upstairs.
Ah.
Oh God.
Oh. Yeah. When life gives you lemons, make lemonades, grenades, lemonades. A sword called diplomacy. Some people only use diplomacy as a last resort. We at the depot, Gnome Depot, say diplomacy should be given a chance. This sword grants the wielder advantage in persuasion, even if they don't have the skill. Diplomacy allows the wielder to be understood. I'm going to have to finish. That's a really long one. So, but this scene is him in control. He is in control. And I love this ending. It's one of the most perfect ending to a movie. And a full character arc. I love it when you see a character reach their full achievement. And God, when he throws the diamonds, oh my God.
Yeah, right. He's got a few $1 million worth of diamonds on him, like however many, and he just tosses them into the.
It doesn't mean anything.
The rainwater reservoir.
Right.
He doesn't care.
Actually, better to get rid of them because of all the things that happened to and for getting them to get them to this place. It's better to get rid of them.
It's not even that. He knows that's the one most efficient way to torture this old fart.
The diamonds.
Because he's dedicated his life to steal these diamonds and keep them safe. And he's just throwing them away. And it's the worst thing he can do.
And this is karma. This is the karma moment.
I think part of the reason that Dustin Hoffman's character decides he's going to torture him by throwing the diamonds away is that our ex-Nazi here, and I'm sorry if that's a word I shouldn't.
Yeah, we just say Yahtzee.
Yahtzee. If this Yahtzee here,
and Hilter.
If he hadn't mentioned Hoffman's father, your father was weak, your brother was weak, and so are you. Basically, I'm paraphrasing.
And he does. He says that to him.
Right. And Hoffman, we see that at the beginning of the movie, Hoffman is obsessed with his father's suicide and why he killed himself. And he's trying to vindicate his father with his doctoral dissertation. And for this character to refer to his father, the idea that his father ever had anything to do with this guy has got to shatter so many of his beliefs about his dad. It just that's not possible to him.
Maybe he just knows his prey because he's been hunting.
Oh, that's
Roy
exactly
Scheider.
the way I interpreted that, is that he had done his research, due diligence.
Yes, it doesn't shatter anything in his beliefs because he knows his dad was innocent. He got caught up in shit, but actually, of all the charges, he was innocent. He tells that to his professor when he tries to make him write stuff that he doesn't want to. He says, I don't need to clean him. He's innocent.
And the professor also, you know, he's because he says, "Do you believe my father was innocent?" And he goes, "I believe your father was guilty of basically hubris." It wasn't that he was guilty of what they claimed, but he was guilty of pride. He was guilty of hubris.
Right.
No, what he said is he was guilty of naivete.
Naivete. Yeah.
But the actual charges.
What was the thing he said after the naivety, or just before it? He threw in there the statement that was showing hubris, that he was believed too much in what he was doing. So it's not that hubris was wrong. I'm actually correct in what I just said. But he did also say he was naive in believing that the system would work for him. It's been cold here too in the teens here.
Hey,
Same.
Andy, welcome.
Hello, Andy. By the way, I kind of thought that I liked his stab at pop psychology here at the end, his little gambit to try to save his life, because, you know, Zell, he's got no limits. He's a very unrestrained guy, but he's not tough. He needs a gun. He needs tough guys to back him up. So he has to be smart because he's brought out the Roy Scheider and Dustin Hoffman here. We can see where Roy Scheider was able to tap into those same traits, or whatever you want to call them.
Yep. And by the way, again, this is the Carmack moment in the film. He has fallen and is, like Shakespeare wrote, hoisted on his own petard.
Yes.
Yeah, you would think
That
falling
blade,
down those
he is-
stairs would do him, but it's his knife. His own device kills him. That is so satisfying.
And you can even see it on his face. He's very calm, very peaceful. And that's the end of Zell. He is dead. Zell's dead, man.
We're gonna find him
Pulp
stuck in the
Fiction.
That's why I
What
had
is
no
it?
hot water this morning.
What's the line from Pulp Fiction? What is it? Zed's dead,
dead,
baby.
baby.
Zed's dead.
That's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zed's dead.
And then he just goes right back to what he knows. He throws the gun and he's just running.
Yep.
I love this freaking movie. It's one of my
And
favorite
that
films.
might
ever
have
made.
been the Dakota that he was running towards.
I
And
mean,
by
I
throwing
think
the gun, the symbolism of throwing the gun is he's letting
Yeah.
go of the past.
he's finally able to let go. That's great.
And he's got some skills. He knows what to do with this gun and how long he needs it for. He's like, okay, I did what I came to do. Now I just got to get rid of the evidence. He's very calculating. Like, he had a good teacher though. Zell was pretty mean to him.
This is, in my opinion, a perfect film. It is one of those films that you see that it's like, really what you see as a flaw is just simply information that you didn't get. That's okay. You can watch a movie and enjoy it without getting all the information spoon-fed to you. Because I'm funny about that. I don't know if you guys have ever heard me talk about that. I like it when the writer, showrunner, filmmaker, television showrunner respects the audience enough not to give you everything. They don't have to spoon feed you all the information, because you'll see that it's really annoying in the narrative process where they give you all this information instead of letting you figure it out.
Yeah,
Well,
I immediately
they don't would just say to address that, Gerry. One of the things I was trying to watch this again with Mrs. Redshirt. I said, look, I need to figure out exactly how this whole scheme was supposed to work out at the beginning of the movie before Roy Scheider gets stabbed. And they still don't give you all the information. After having rewatched it very carefully, you don't know exactly who all the players are and what they're up to and what their motivations are. So you, the audience, you the viewer, are in much the same boat that
As his
Dustin
character.
Hoffman is.
Yeah.
You don't understand everything that's going on, so that when it arrives on his doorstep and he's completely you know, what happened to you? You're in the same boat to a certain extent. So the movie is basically forcing you to try to come to terms with everything that's going on, the way Dustin Hoffman has to try and come to terms with what's going on.
It's also the idea that you're not going to get every answer, but can you still find satisfaction without knowing everything? Because really, in the end, what you know is this old man helped murder people and wanted to profit from it, and took years to where he could go and get this stuff, and now he's killing people again in order to get what he wants. And Dustin Hoffman, an innocent person in many ways, is the foil.
A bystander.
Yeah, he's just a bystander. That's all he is. I love this story. I love this movie so much. And the other film that we're going to be doing probably in a couple of weeks is going to be not Close Encounters. It's going to be the sister film to this, 3 Days of the Condor. Because I do consider them very similar genre. A lot of the same kind of actors, not like the cast, I'm talking about in life, the kind of actors you deal with. You have similar, like, why are people dying? I don't understand this. And then when you get to the point of understanding why people died, you're like, really? Why? You know, and so often people die for pointless reasons.
Well,
Somebody thought
he was a reader. That's the entire reason Condor happens. He's a reader. He just gave an assessment, and they thought he knew something he didn't.
That's all it is. They were afraid that somebody might have read something.
Yep.
They didn't know whether they did. They were afraid they might have. And so for that reason, everybody has to die. It's tough stuff, man. I love that movie. It's another one of my favorite Cold War thrillers. It's just really
Sadly
well done.
Predicted a lot too. Because what's the entire thing about? Oil.
Well, there's even a question about the media at the end. He says, well, I'm going to go to the media with this. He goes, you think they'll print it? You really think that? And there's that moment where he goes, what are you saying? That you own the media? Are you saying that? CIA owns the media? Are you saying that? They say that in the movie. And now we're learning.
It was called Operation Mockingbird.
You find out so much, like Elon Musk released about Twitter. Millions of dollars to help change the outcome of an election. Done by our own government.
Why wouldn't they? If you're in power, media is a pillar. I mean, they're not going to officially own it, but
like our election or the Iranian election, something like that.
Ours. I'm reading Alabama Hellbilly. I 100% agree. I hate when a writer treats his readers or the audience too dumb to follow the story. Absolutely. I like it when they respect us a little bit. Let's see. And I detest everything I've seen from JJ. The announcement he was going to make the first Disney Wars film was enough for me to. Well, and what I like with JJ is what works with him is when he's managed. He can actually put out good quality. Mission Impossible is a good example because Tom Cruise managed him. A lot of people don't know that. He absolutely controlled everything that JJ did.
JJ's work proves it. JJ's other work proves you're right.
But the stuff when he's in control, bad. It's not good. He's not a very good storyteller. He lacks an understanding, like Spielberg, of irony. Spielberg doesn't understand irony at all. Most ironic film he's ever made was Jaws. And there's tons of irony in that film. One of, two of my favorite ones. One, cop afraid of water becomes sheriff of an island surrounded by water. Two, a man who witnessed the greatest, when I say greatest, I don't mean it in a good way, the worst shark attack on naval personnel in the history of Navy, spends the rest of his life hunting sharks only to be killed by his prey. little ironic moments like that. And of course, I'm referring specifically to dramatic irony because it's my favorite kind. There are a lot of different kinds of ironies. That's my favorite irony, is dramatic irony. It's sort of like the way a joke works. A joke relies on irony. And in a movie, and this is something that, script doctor, scribe, and a lot of other writer friends of mine and I've talked about, is that a joke only works one way. You have to tell the joke in a specific order for it to work. And you've got to get to that twist at the end. The twist at the end is what some stupid people refer to as subverting expectation. Well, that's what irony is. Because the whole idea is to build up to this joke, and it's sort of like the bricklayer joke. It's absolute subversion of the expectation, which is, if you've never heard of it, the bricklayer joke. It's one of my favorite jokes. I've told it at parties with friends, and it usually takes two people to tell the joke. And the beginning of the joke starts with about two bricklayers competing, and one throws a brick up, and it goes up, 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 comes crashing down. And then the old guy gets up, and he's going to throw his brick, and it goes up, up, up. And then the person acts like they forget the punchline, and he goes up, up, up. Oh crap! I forgot how this joke ends. And then the second person in the joke goes, "Wait a minute, that's a dumb joke. You don't even remember the punchline. Here, this joke's better." And you begin to tell a joke about an old guy on an airplane smoking a cigar, and a lady sitting next to him with a toy poodle on her lap. And every single time he smokes a cigar, this dog barks incessantly. Finally, the guy turns and says, "Lady, I'm going to smoke another cigar, and if your dog starts barking at me, I'm going to throw that little bitch right out the portal window of the airplane." And she's like, "Whatever." He goes, "Okay." So he puts the cigar in his mouth, lights it, and takes the first puff, and the dog starts barking. He grabs that dog by the nape of its neck and throws it out the portal window. Air gets sucked out behind it. The box of cigars on his lap goes flying out behind the dog. The lit cigar flies out of his mouth, out the window, right with the dog. And everybody jumps to the window to look at the back of the plane. And there at the back of the plane, there's this dog, this little poodle clinging onto dear to life on the tail wing. And do you know what's in its mouth? And you guys guess. Well, you already know the joke, dumbass. Thanks for ruining it for other people. Because instantly everybody goes, "Cigar."
No, goes, I'm just a writer, so I'm like,
it's the brick. I've told you this joke already, though. So yeah, it's the punchline to the joke is the brick, and everybody just cracks up laughing at the party, and it's like great. And but it's a great. It is how a story should be structured. That is the way a story is supposed to be structured. Because if you tell it out of any order, out of any place, the joke doesn't work. And it's the same thing with stories. If you don't tell the story correctly in the right order, it doesn't work correctly. And that's the problem with today's writers. They don't know how to do that. If a writer can't tell a joke, they can't write. If we could go back
all those Disney Plus shows definitely underscore that. Oh yeah, if we could go back in time and change one thing, we could make Regarding Henry a flop. We could change so much.
Yeah, but it's such a. I really do like that film. It's written from a very childlike view. I like the film. I do.
J.J. Abrams movie.
But J.J. Abrams, when he's being managed, puts out good quality work. The problem with him is when he's under his own device. When he's on under his own device, under his own control, that's when he does stupid, weird shit.
He's super lazy. The people who write Star Trek Discovery and Rings of Power used to write most of his movies for him, and he just finished them up. They said that outright. He hasn't denied it.
Oh, by the way, J.J. Abrams is doing a sequel to Oppenheimer called Regarding Henry Truman.
Oh my God! No.
I thought Godzilla Minus One was. I thought Godzilla Minus One was the sequel to Oppenheimer.
This one is the true sequel.
Now, would that make Barbie the prequel?
For the one, there is no one. There's like thousands of jokes of the traveling salesman
and the farmer's daughter.
My favorite joke in that vein is, I'm not even going to tell you a joke. I'm just going to tell you, Sean. He goes, "Hey, baby, shut up. You know what I want? Unscrew it and give it to me." And you have no idea what the joke is, but it's a great punchline. If that's my pen, where's my thermometer?
I always liked Norm Macdonald's. Like, he was trying to find the perfect version of where the setup was the punchline.
Well, he also did something that was just excruciatingly funny. Anima didn't like it. I love what he would do because he was subverting people doing what he did, which is he would take the simplest joke, the moth joke, going to see a psychiatrist. It's a simple joke. It's quick.
I love it.
And he took 10 minutes to build up to get to the final punchline, which was, he goes, well, why did you come to see me? The psychologist asked him. He says, well, the light was on. I love that. But he took 10 minutes to tell this joke. It's so
10
long.
fucking minutes. That annoyed the shit out of me.
And
It's
I
just
laughed
not my cup of tea. Yes.
And that's called a shaggy dog story.
I miss Norm Macdonald. I really do. I actually get weepy every once in a while about him because, God, that guy brought so much joy into my life. Oh.
O.J. Simpson alone. Oh, I love the O.J. Simpson jokes.
Oh, would he go after O.J. and Bill Clinton? Oh my God, he got him fired.
It's official. Murder is now legal in the state of California.
Right. Nuke Twice was the sequel to Oppenheimer. You only nuke twice. Penny said hi to you, by the way, Red Shirt.
Yes, I said hello back.
Good. Very good. I'm not sure if people even know when I do that. I'll be seeing you.
Yep.
I really, Keith and I talked about this. Maybe doing this one Saturday is doing an episode about the series Prisoner, because it really is. It had an impact on me as a kid. I was terrified of balls because of that fucking show.
Oh yeah,
Probably my favorite
actually
TV series of all time. Or it's definitely in like my top 3 or 5.
I actually saw the premiere of the first episode when it aired in 1968 as a 5-year-old, until my mother caught me watching it and ran into the room and shut the television off.
We're your part in age, because I was 4.
Yeah,
and I remember it.
Yeah, it is for a small. I mean, I thought it was a nightmare for 10 years until I got to watch the show again as like in junior high school. And I was having the most intense feeling of deja vu watching the first 5 or so minutes of the first episode until I didn't remember anything. And then I went, wait a minute, that's not deja vu. I actually saw this. This wasn't a dream. I really did see this. It is an incredible piece of television at any era. 1968 is when it came out in the United States, and quite frankly, it could be shown today, and it would have the same. It would have exactly the same impact.
And it was considered in many ways by so many as a sequel to Danger Man, because it has his photo. That photo of him at the beginning of the show in the opening titles is the photo of him from Danger Man.
Yes. But
I ended up seeing The Prisoner by virtue that there was the TV retrospectives they occasionally do. It's like, that looks interesting. And Netflix was DVDs at the time, so I basically rented the first disc. I'm like, I love this thing. That's how I found it. Just random curiosity.
Yep.
By the way,
well, let's just say, Gerry, because I've seen the documentary and the interviews with Patrick McGoohan. He didn't want to do more Danger Man. He didn't want to continue that. And
because that's why he turned down playing James Bond too.
Yes, twice, in fact. The Prisoner was his, because he didn't write Danger Man. He starred in it. This was entirely his creation. He was, in fact, the producer told him after a certain amount of time, look, you're doing so many jobs on this besides starring in it that we need to give you an extra, we need to give you another credit. We're going to call you executive producer. Because when a new director came on to do, because there were multiple directors for the different episodes. When a director came on to direct it, he was invariably told, if you want to know how something should play out from the script, ask Patrick, because it's his. And McGowan was involved in every decision basically throughout that entire series. That is entirely his creation. And it was almost his response to Danger Man in some ways.
And I kind of wish that he had said no to the reboot, because I just didn't think that show was very good. And I like
the remake of The Prisoner. Well,
yeah,
that was awful.
Yeah, I love the actor, but Caviezel,
yes,
just it was not good.
No,
the ending was completely wrong for The Prisoner. Oh, by the way, you're taking over now. Oh, I'm going to make sure things run better now. I'm like, that's the most anti-number 6 thing.
Yeah, it was just not very good. But anyway, that'll be for another time. I'll talk to you about it, Richard, if we plan on doing it. I know you're as big a fan of it as I am. But I want to thank both you guys for being here today. I appreciate it, man. T, where can we see you next? Eeg?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry. I guess I don't know what's going on with my channel because there's some personal stuff going on that I have to take care of. May not be around tomorrow, but maybe Monday we'll do something. You know, my usual shows will probably start kicking on Tuesdays and Fridays again soon. When
I got to jump back on there again with you, talk some Star Trek. I love Star Trek.
Let's watch the motion picture. Let's bring Martin.
Absolutely. What day is that going to be?
You tell me.
Yeah, that's sort of
what a good Friday.
Thursdays, Tuesday is bad. Wednesday is better. Wednesday or Thursday is good.
Thursday is probably going to be the day.
All right, Thursday.
Wednesday, I'm locked up.
I don't do a show on Thursdays.
That would be great.
Yeah. So, Richard, I don't know if you'd want to do that, but maybe you should join.
Possible. We'll see.
We're going to be watching that final cut, the director's exclusive edition, whatever they called it, that was released in 4K. But hey, Richard, where can we find you?
Well, my next appearance on YouTube is going to be on Tuesday with 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser on Toxic Tuesday, talking about.
And wait a minute, I'm there too.
I'm going to be there with you.
Yeah,
we're going to be there together. We're going to be together again.
We're going to do
talking
some
about
docking.
Rambo 4.
We're going to dock
Rambo.
Stop the gay stuff, guys. We're on stream.
No, we'll never.
Oh no. Oh no. That's just
you're all for the back door, Gerry. I know.
That's Alabama hillbilly.
That is a when a bunch of guys get together, that is a type of humor that just sort of breaks out. It just
the more comfortable you are with who you are, the more you joke about it. Because like when I was hanging out with those vets on Friday last night, Friday nights, man, we were really getting into it. It's just like, dude, in the military, you don't get more homoerotic humor than in the Army or the Marines.
It's just that Gerry is a deeply closeted heterosexual. That's all.
It's true. It's true. I try to hide it, but it's true. I'm very straight. So, but I want to thank everybody for being here, man. Let's see. I want to thank. This is like the ending of Romper Room. Remember that with the mirror. I see Penny. I see Jonathan Hancock, Christian DeLorme, Slasher Fred, Lovely Sherry, or the way you're supposed to say Lovely Sherry, the Lovely Sherry, Ray Lucard, John Chipola, shouldn't it be Juan Chipola? Anyway, Canadian Spider-Man, Mikey Souza 4, Buddy Hepburn, E. Clay Thomason, Cycle Man, Melted Copper, Alabama Hellbilly, who just had to leave for a family crisis. Hope everything's okay. Lemon Pie, Awesome One, Kingsport Cow. Let's see who else. Taylor Swift, greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU. Let's see. FKHC 2005, aka Tim. Parrot Head, the Nerdporio Lifeform, Das Wolfen. Would you like to touch my monkey, Das Wolfen? Yeah. The Peter Vinkman fan site, Radioactive, Andy Morrow, and that's everybody, man. I hope everybody had a good show. I love talking about this movie. I'm so glad we did this one. It's just an absolute classic movie.
Did we say Sci-Fi Mombi? Did we get her?
I did not see Sci-Fi Mombi, so also Sci-Fi
No.
Mombi.
It was
And
just
thank
that's
you.
a thing that YouTube does. Whenever somebody joins a channel,
Oh, they're
YouTube
not
keeps pointing
here.
that out for
It just
days.
yeah, they weren't here today. It was
No.
just that I showed that they had gotten their membership. No one to thank them.
Oh,
Good
that
job.
makes sense.
Yeah, it
Is
shows
that
up
going
for
to
a week or longer. It's a weird thing YouTube does.
It's so weird.
I don't talk
If
retarded
if
like
you-
that. Fuck you.
If YouTube worked really logically and easily, I would wonder if I was dreaming.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be YouTube.
if it works, it's not YouTube.
Yes.
So, but anyway, guys, Shanatsky, thanks for popping in. Martin, thanks for running the show. Adama, thank you for being here. I love you. And Teague and Just Another Redshirt, thank you guys for popping in and doing the show with me. I hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday. Please be safe this weekend. And with that, here's Brian.
That's it. Show's over.
Everybody's heard about the bird. And roof rusted.